Okay, folks, here we go. Let's see, what did I do with my book?
You haven't got it on yet.
I think I do. Don't
No, I can't see it on
I? TV off.
Don't you want television on?
It's, no. Okay, we may have lost, or we ran out of tape before, and so we may have lost a little tape, and we may have to go back and get some of the back ends. But we were getting into the beginning of Roy and getting engaged, so.
Who was this? I can't remember anything about that. Years ago, many long years ago,
So,
the old gray mare, she ain't what she used to be.
Okay, that's enough.
Dad talked earlier about you meeting at an anniversary party for, was it your mother and dad? Anniversary?
25th
25th
anniversary.
anniversary party. And Mom was there with her group, polka group from St. Leonard's, and was one of the performers. And then the priest introduced you two. And so you dated for approximately how long before you got engaged?
I don't remember. I haven't had this letter stack yet. She'll probably remember better than
When was
I.
your mother and dad's anniversary?
The 25th anniversary. So it was. Silver anniversary.
Kind of we dated about a year, I think.
Okay.
Because
Yeah, I
your
would
dad
say
died in 40 and we were married in 41, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was short romance, wasn't it?
Not a year, because your dad died when? December?
41.
Yeah, what month? And that's when we started. Oh.
Okay.
That's why she was so surprised when you surprised her with the diamond and you told us it was, you picked her up after work and you had the diamond ring that you proposed to her right there in the alley.
Exactly right.
In the alley
I
behind
put it
the
on her
telephone
finger.
company.
Oh, telephone company.
Put it on her finger. I kissed her. And that was it.
Been stuck ever since.
Okay, so that was like February, and then you were married in October.
That's right. Short courtship, right? 6 months, 8 months.
Well, plenty long enough. After all, you were what, 24, 25 years old?
25. 25 was 25 in May.
And you were 20.
21 in February, we married in October, so.
Youngster.
Yeah.
She told you all about where we went to live. We lived in Berwyn.
In the Berwyn, on the Maple Avenue.
And flat downstairs, and made that flat downstairs so there'd be a room down there for
Grandpa.
somebody else, Grandpa. And that's basically it. And we're still there.
Professional
A lot of
actor,
house.
Good morning.
You're in the middle of this interview.
So there we
Well,
are.
now your firstborn just walked through now. I think you can probably imagine when he came along.
Oh, boy, I know.
Didn't really remember that.
Cold day in January. I can remember sitting in the front seat of the car with a green Afghan on my lap, keeping warm, and having pains on the way.
And driving to, I'll have to insert some pains at 6:30 in the morning. And she's waking up, telling me she's got pains. I said, let's go. And she said, don't hurry, we don't have to hurry, and so forth and so on. Well, I don't know much about this because this is a firstborn and I have never had another born anywhere, so I had no experience. So the situation was, it was no, 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 and I guess finally we decided, I took her to the hospital. It was what, about 11 o'clock? It was
No.
10 o'clock.
Oh, well, I don't know.
And we got there, and St. Anne's ends up, they took her in, and she's there, and she's in labor, but we can't, nothing. The baby was born 24 hours later.
36 hours.
36 hours, I'm sorry, 36 hours later. The guys that were coming in with their wives and everything the day before, coming back the next day, visiting and so forth, and I'm still there with, and our doctor, Dr. Quigley was his name, was sick and he couldn't handle this and it was given to somebody else when we didn't even know. And that situation was very, very, made me concerned about what, can happen. So nothing happened. It was 45 hours or 48
You
hours.
said 36 or so a while
No,
ago.
but I thought it was 2 days.
So you forgot that.
No, I
Well, that was
over-
from the time
A
you
long
got to
time.
the hospital,
Oh.
it was
Yeah.
36.
It was 40 some hours, I'm sure. And the baby's finally born.
Didn't want to come.
And all
How's your
these,
day?
all these other fathers were
Coming in.
coming in and going out with their cigars, and there you were
Yeah.
still
Still there.
waiting to get this show on the road, huh?
That's right. And that happened too. So,
Well, no, that was back in 1943. You probably had to stay in the hospital, what, 10 days or something like
Oh,
that?
yes.
They kept you in, and
Definitely.
flat on your back, and not
No
running
walking.
Yeah, not running around like they do
Mm.
nowadays, right?
Quite different.
Yeah.
but she was, they had finally gave her a shot, midnight or something that night, and knocked her out because I thought she was gonna die. And then
Yeah,
she
so
come
that
to,
stopped-
and then
Stop the labor?
evidently it stopped the labor, and then they took the baby the next day, the next morning.
Using forceps? Is that what you
Yeah.
did?
Oh, I don't know what they use.
Done.
Dennis, you're walking right through the
We
camera.
are recording. And you're walking back and forth, having yourself one gay old timer.
You think okay,
That'd be different.
so, and then you
We'll
go,
edit this,
Talking
you
about
know,
it.
we can edit this.
That'd be fun. Don't leave it in there.
Oh, God.
now you wanna ask about the second one?
Yeah, unless you have some more things that.
Well, we should talk more about Denny, I guess. What do you want to say about Denny, Mom? He was a
No,
big
Cried
baby.
all the time, I know. He was a hungry baby, and in those years, we were supposed to give him 4 ounces of milk every 4 hours, not a minute before, and not an ounce or drop over the 4 ounces, and I would feed him, and he was hungry then as he is now. He certainly needed more feeding, so he was cheated and was a crybaby because he didn't have enough to eat, and I stuck to the schedule, which I shouldn't have done, but then when the next one came along, we knew better. We learned by that. But he needed more food, for sure.
Big baby.
Well, he wasn't too big, he was only 7'4", I think. Not much.
Not compared to, like Roy Allen.
Right. 9'15", I don't know where he came from.
I don't know either, but we ought to talk about the second one.
Yeah, okay, so then Ron came along, how much?
Oh, now Dad will tell you that story, that's his favorite story.
That's my favorite story, but you tell him when he came along. What year?
1945.
Okay, 1945. And now we're back to the same situation, we're starting to have labor pains. And this time we have another doctor. So the situation that prevails is that she says, look, don't worry about getting to the hospital, you know what it was the last. I said, I'm not concerned about what it was the last time, I'm concerned about what it is this time. Well, don't worry. I said, come on, let's go. So after I finally get her, and we pick up our bag and we go, and we're going to the hospital, and she says, we'll have to stop at the shoe store to get some shoes.
Slippers.
Or slippers. I want some slippers for them. So we go into the shoe store, which is just around the corner from the hospital. And she gets in there and she sits down and says, I would like a pair of slippers. And he can see that she's like this. And she's going, and, well, I don't like those. Can you get me another? And so he brings out about 5 pairs of slippers. And I was
I
saying,
can't believe that I was
Mother,
fussy.
I says, we got to go take the slippers. She says, it took forever with Denny. I don't know what you're so excited about. I says, well, I'm not excited, I'm concerned, and I think, so she says, okay, we'll take this pair here. I paid the Jewish clerk for the slippers. Right around the corner is the hospital. We go to the hospital, let her off, bring her up, park the car. She goes up the elevator, park the car, and I come back to the hospital. I go back up to the floor where I left her off, and I says, where's my wife? And she said, well, what is your name? I said, well, my name is Roy Nosek, and my wife came up, she was in labor, Oh, she said, yeah, she says, "Yeah." I didn't, I thought it was gonna be, longer. So she, she's, I would like to go see her. Oh, you can't, I'm sorry. I said, well, where is she? Well, she's in the delivery room having the baby. Here she is delivering the baby.
And you're carrying the box of slippers.
No, she had the slippers
Oh,
with her.
oh, good, be prepared.
So that's it.
Oh.
It's his story.
That's the truth.
So this is about, now you've got 2 children.
Yep, 2 children.
What grandmothers and aunts and uncles are living with you anymore by this
No,
time?
No.
this was strictly our house now. Just grandpa and grandma.
That's all.
Bubby and both.
Bohemia.
Okay. Okay, so then, what, about 3 more years now, and then you get Roy and Evelyn, right?
Yeah.
Right?
1948. 9 pounds, 15 ounces. He's
That's the big one.
He's the one of the bunch yet. Or not yet, but
Yeah.
he was big then. He's skinny.
Big then, but he's
And compared to the first one, it was still an easy delivery, right?
Yeah, no problem after that.
Are they still keeping you in the hospital 10 days?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, even with Deborah.
Even with Debbie.
And that was 1954.
Okay. Okay, so then you had, after Roy Allen, you had Gary.
Yeah.
He was about 3 years younger, is he 3 years younger than Roy Allen? And then
Debbie's 2 years.
3 more years, you finally struck pay dirt and you got that girl.
Definitely.
Our caboose.
Deborah Lynn, okay. So now, when did you buy your house at the lake, Powers Lake?
1957.
Yeah.
October 57.
So Debbie was the little one?
3 years old.
Oh, she was 3. Okay. But before then you went to, you had vacation homes
Oh,
that
yeah.
you rented?
At Channel Lake.
Also, before that, we rented it in Michigan.
Oh, yeah, we used to take vacation.
Take vacations in Michigan when I was on the road. And I had work out of the area. What was that lake?
Well, names of those, like Klinger Lake was one.
Klinger Lake was one.
And then there was
Went
another.
out in Coldwater with Michigan.
It could be Coldwater Lake.
Yeah. And we worked, the kids, were swimming there and
He
everything.
put us centrally located so he could do his sales job and come back each evening to be with us, so they made it nice for them. He wouldn't waste any time not taking full vacation with them.
So that was it.
Did you have a boat
We had a boat there.
that came with the
No,
cottage?
it was a rowboat though. wasn't it?
Yeah,
For
when
the
the
boat.
boys learned to ski, you rented a boat.
I rented a boat there, yeah. They learned to ski there.
And so what would you do mainly in the daytime? Did you
Oh,
boys
kids
go
do it.
fishing and
Boys would fish and swim.
swim?
And I spent more time, I'd come in earlier because I was closer to I had pretty well planned where I would go.
So it must have been about this time now, that if you're vacationing in Michigan,
Right?
you must have met Uncle Si somewhere along those years.
Well, he met Uncle Si because he's sold at Ford Motor Company where Uncle Si was associated. And it was through,
Well, Si
Vincent Pike.
didn't know anything about that. Where's your glasses?
On my hat.
I don't know where your hat is. It's right there. You left it. Don't go the other way. Don't go this way. It's on the
goes in front of
television.
Go right ahead, we're gonna splice you out anyway.
I'm
Okay.
going over to see the kids. And then-
All right.
Good.
They're over in the
Slam the
And
door
tennis
hard and then
court.
don't come back for about a half hour.
So, that was Klinger Lake, and that was a nice vacation, a nice place to,
How many years
But-
did you go there?
once.
Well, once to one lake and one year to the other lake.
What was the other lake? I can't remember
Oh,
that.
I think Coldwater Lake they should have.
Coldwater Lake, I think that was another one we went to too. So then, I says, look, we gotta get something in Wisconsin, and let's go looking.
So it'd be a little bit closer.
Which
And
was,
of course, and you were familiar with the Fox River Valley area.
well, I was familiar with the area that,
Twin Lakes, so the
Twin
little
Lakes.
boy used to
when
go.
I went to Twin Lakes when I was a kid.
Mhm.
And he always said the water was nice and clean.
Clean, it was clear water in Twin Lakes, and never knew about Powers Lake. He didn't know it existed, Dave Topping and George Polishak, who we painted our house at that time, many years ago. We were young.
You told him in that, your interview.
I did tell him like that, well, I didn't have to repeat it. Well, in any event, so we went to a real estate place in Coldwater, in
Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes. And the gal there took us out Twin to Powers Lake and showed us.
Well, there was nothing in Twin Lakes, like she
Nothing
had
at Twin
something
Lakes.
at Powers.
So, yeah, Powers Lake. So we went to Powers Lake, we saw this house, saw the location, and it was just a shell. There was nothing inside. It was just 2x4s and going up in the floor. There wasn't any subflooring or anything. Just a plain ordinary floor.
And why is that? Was somebody starting to build it
Well,
and then abandon their plans?
No, we didn't. That fella bought the place, what, 2 years before?
And he was transferred, I guess, and they just.
And he in
came-
turn then was going up north somewhere, and the place was made, we had it available. He gave me a price, nothing was finished, like I told you.
Wasn't there somebody else had didn't we have him put a bid in for it or something? When we saw it, we thought it was too small for the family because we had, 5 children.
That's right.
And then there was a telephone strike, or vaguely I remember all this. And
Go
then
ahead.
you put in a bid, and somebody else, but fortunately we were lucky enough to get, first we said we didn't want it, then we thought about it, we said we could always add on to it. And we went back, and you put in your bid,
I definitely wanted it.
and luckily we were able to, we were the ones that.
Pulling our leg or not, that
Or
there was
whatever.
another bid on it or not, but that's a usual thing that some real estate person
Right.
can do.
Right.
When I saw the
Put
house,
the
I saw
pressure
the
on.
property, what it looked like, and this, that, and the other thing, I said, boom, we're gonna get it. And that was it. He cut the deal, paid for it, cash, barrel-headed, and that was it, and we had it.
And you said then we could always add on, and add
That's
on
ex-
you did.
That's exactly right, and we had it.
What are the different stages of adding on that you did?
Well, the stages of adding on were that the first edition was the breezeway. Then, right? First was the breezeway,
Lakeside Garage.
then the lakeside garage. The second edition was the front,
Solarium.
the solarium.
Mm-hmm.
The third edition was the
Backyard garage.
backyard garage. And that was the end.
And then your 4 bedrooms on the
Oh,
other side.
then, yeah. I thought the
Then
backyard garage went on last.
That was the last, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I think
Yeah, backyard garage.
Oh,
The big
The
edition
4 bedrooms and
First
the
edition.
bathrooms.
was the breezeway. The second edition was the solarium. The third,
Usually lake garage, the
The
lakeside
th-
garage, then the solarium.
yeah, then the solarium.
Okay,
Then the big edition, the 2 stories on the end. And the next edition was the one, the big garage on the, right adjoining the lakeside garage on the house.
Well, so now during this time, you'd go up and you'd spend the whole summer at Powers Lake, right, Mom?
I did
You
with the-
and
with
you
the
and
children.
Bobby and-
the day
Yeah.
the school let out, we'd hike over and go back the day before school started.
Oh, you really made
Oh,
the
yeah.
summer, full summer.
Full summer.
And you learned to drive the boat?
I
Yeah.
did, not at Powers Lake,
Not at Powers Lake.
I learned to drive it at Channel Lake. But after we went to Klinger and Coldwater Lake, we
You
rented for summer at
You
Channel
left
Lake.
that out.
And we missed
I
it.
rented the place at Channel Lake after Klinger Lake. And I brought her out there, this one, she'd never seen it, nobody had seen it. I brought her out there, rented, it was near Corinth. We rented it for the season. Brought her and her mother out, and the kids, this one time, after I bought it, I rented it, put the money down and everything. And she says, if you think I'm going to stay here in this house, you are absolutely crazy. I am not, and you got this boat you bought, you expect me to drive the boat? I says, yes, I expect you to drive the boat, and I want you You can teach, I'll teach them on the weekend, but you take them during the week.
Mhm.
I won't do it. And her mother's with us, and boom, you know, I got a chance in hell of getting this thing, but they finally said, okay.
For the sake of the kids, right?
Yeah, for the sake of the kids. And this is a circular deal in there where you got cottages all the way around. I got this Chris Craft boat and start out on taking the kids
Right.
and so forth.
You just bought this boat new now?
No, this is wasn't a new boat, a second-hand boat.
Mhm.
It's a Chris Craft. I bought it from the neighbor there across the street from me. Used to be in my name. And I taught her how to run the boat. I don't know this thing. She thinks I'm going to go crazy. I says, Ma, there's nothing to it. And there wasn't really anything to it. So I
Can't
went on my
believe I did
business.
that.
Huh?
I can't believe I did that.
Well, she did.
This is accurate. This is the way you remember this whole
Oh,
story too?
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm not fibbing. I'm not lying. So lo and behold, I come back, you know, and boy, the kids are crazy. They're having that ball. I said, what's going on? Oh, Ma's driving the boat and this, that, and that. I said, if you're driving the boat, I thought you said you weren't going to get crazy. You're not going to drive it. Well, it's not too bad. She said, it's not too bad. This whole deal in this circular, all the kids,
Mhm.
not
They were
only
a
our kids,
family with children, most of them.
everybody in that area had children, little children.
Mhm.
And this one's out there, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, bingo, or 12, I don't know. And she's out there driving this boat, the kids on the back end and skiing, and this Chris Craft that she had never driven before up until we got it and give her a few lessons on it. And the kids are having a ball. From 1 till 5 or 6, they're driving the boat.
Captain
Yeah.
Evelyn and her crew, right?
And we had my mother and Grandma Nosek.
My mother.
And they would do the cooking. I didn't have to worry about feeding and the family or anything. They took care of that, so I was able to be out on the water.
Then the kids are saying to me, hey, Dad, you gotta get a place here. You gotta get a place here somewhere. You gotta get, this is terrific. This is terrific. So
Remember
that,
the day Ryan came in with a measure, and he says, Dad, there's going to be space. You can build a house right behind this house. He was all set to have us build something there. He wanted to stay there.
Had it all figured out, huh?
I like it so well.
so it ends up, we went to this place in Powers Lake, this gal Olson
Anyway,
showed it, Twin Lakes. She was in Twin Lakes. We went to and bought the one on Powers Lake. And the following year, then we were there, and then we started to build that winter. I think we started to add, not adding, building inside because it was a shell, nothing inside. There were just 2 by 4s, you know. Then there was no floors, so we got to put flooring in. And Dave Topping and Ed and I, that winter, finished that whole interior, didn't we?
broke through the ice to get water to.
You know, yeah, couldn't get water.
Oh,
We had no heat, you know, we had a fireplace,
yeah.
and that's what keep the fireplace burning when all 3 of us slept in sleeping bags in front of the fireplace. What happened? Dave burned up.
Put the light bulb or
Oh,
extension.
he put a light bulb, electric light bulb in
Sleeping
the
bag.
sleeping bag, and we're sleeping in front of the fireplace, and the burning on the inside of the sleeping bag. And he got out of there hell bent for election.
I bet, real fast.
And we doused off the sleeping bag. But we had some real times there, I'll tell you.
You had to do that in the winter, huh?
Right, well, that's what, the only time you
That's when
could
you
do
had the
it.
time, right?
If you wanted to save time and not wait forever. Well, that's what happened.
What was it Pappy always remembered about that we had, that we didn't have heat? We had heat, we didn't realize it. What was it he always laughed?
Can't remember.
Now, did you meet Pappy at the lake?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We
You-
met
You
him.
never knew him before?
No,
the lake?
never knew before the
He
lake.
was the one that would visit. He'd visit everybody at the lake.
Mhm.
Because when we came there, he introduced himself and always kept in touch.
Yeah.
Became one of the family.
Yeah.
Of course, then you knew the Kellys. Did you meet
You know,
them up
Kelly,
there, or did
no,
you?
Kelly's
Kelly's came after we were there.
Oh,
knew that
okay.
we had the house and wanted to know if there was some place to rent. And we found him that one place. It was just terrible. It was a terrible. Oh, wait, what was that guy's name?
I can't
Yeah. they rented there, and then this house that they had was up for sale, and Olive pushed that and made Bob buy it. He didn't want to buy it, and she was happy there. It was one of
Yeah.
Or he didn't like the
He
idea.
didn't, yeah, he didn't want to invest.
Yeah,
in
but then he liked it
Yeah,
later on,
yeah.
in the later years, it was okay. No
And she
problem.
loved it, yeah.
Okay. So that's all about the lake, and you know what happened from there on in. All the kids grew up there. We're there for,
Okay, well, I know we did the big
Christmas.
addition. Some of the kids were real little, because I can remember all the pounding going on while the grandchildren
still
were
sleeping.
still, yeah, they were still sleeping, yeah, so that must have been,
Oh, yeah.
was that maybe the summer that, has it been 12 years? Would it maybe be when Leah and Justin and Carl were babies?
we've
Or
got
what-
that
or
longer
was
than
it-
12 years, haven't we?
Those kids are all 12 now, that's not good.
Wow, we bought that when
I
was
gotta remember when Arnie was there, because if I can remember how, he was 21 when he came to live with us. And he's not as old as Deborah, 21. She's 35.
More than-
11 years ago, 12 years ago,
Yeah.
yeah, then 12 years ago.
more than that.
I remember that the babies, trying
That's
to
a good
keep,
way to
trying to
remember.
keep it quiet because the babies were sleeping and it's pretty hard to keep those hammers quiet.
Yeah.
when the
What are
babies
you
are-
saying, it's how many years old?
Well, Jeannie's
12 for the addition, the big
Okay.
addition onto the house.
Oh, the big addition.
Yeah.
I thought you when we bought it.
Oh, no,
Oh, that's,
that would be wrong.
yeah, could be.
Okay, we touched before on Uncle Si, and tell us about how you met Uncle Si and Aunt Rose and your vacations to Florida and how you came to get to have
Well-
this house that we're
Well,
in
the
here today.
situation that prevailed there was that I knew Uncle Si when I was a salesman and a serviceman prior to being a salesman
Mhm.
in Detroit. And he lived in Allen Park, didn't he? And he worked at Ford Motor Company, and I met him at Ford. And I used to service the equipment as a serviceman there, and he'd call for me always when he wanted somebody because he had faith in me and trusted me in doing a good job. And he told Mr. Piper, he said, look, when I want a serviceman, I want Nosek, I don't want you to send anybody else. Because he does a real good job for us, and so that was it. And Ford was the best customer we had, and go in the service shop to do the work for him. Then I got to know him, went to his house, back and forth, and this, that, and the other thing. But he had a place in Newport Richey. And when Schlichter, my boss, the sales manager before I took over, I worked for the company many, many years, shortly after they went in business, used to come down to see Si, and I would come down with him. And he had a small motel and everything over in Newport Richey. And then I knew Si well, as I said before. And this subdivision here started. And we used to visit Si then after he sold the motel, and he had a place in Clearwater. And we would come down, Evelyn and I, with the kids, and we'd visit and spend time with him there. And he come up with this complex here and bought off of Wolf this property with from Wolf. And Lindbergh's down the 2 doors down, bought a property here, and Si built this house. And I bought the lots across the street, all from one here all the way down to the McMullen Booth Road. I bought 6 or 7 lots.
Okay, and that?
Huh? Yeah, I bought those lots.
So what's the
And
Kellers?
we built-
The Kellers built that, yeah?
No, the Kellers didn't build it, we built that. Si and I built that house, and we built the one over here, which is 3 doors now, or 2 doors away. So, then I had those lots, and I sold the lot next to Keller's, and I sold a lot across the street here, and then I sold the 2 lots to the guy on the corner. But we,
Just as a matter of curiosity, do you remember how much a lot would sell for back then? No, we're
well, I
probably
bought those
talking
lots for $1,100, I think, wasn't it?
All 6 lots?
No,
Oh,
no.
$1,100?
apiece. And I sold those lots for Keller's we built on, so, and Moffat's we built on. And we had the property, and then we built the building, and then we sold the building. And then this lot I sold for $2,500, I think. And I sold that one for, no, I didn't sell this one for $2,500. I think I sold that one over there for
Yeah,
18
so
or
different.
20, and this one here for 25, and then I sold those two lots, not knowing that this guy was gonna buy it. The guy I sold it with, up this one, he turned around, I sold it to him for about $2,000, I think. He in turn sold it for $7,000 or $8,000 to the guy that bought it. And the two lots that I sold on the corner were $2,500 a piece or something, $2,400 a piece. I'm worth now a lot more, probably $20,000 for the lot. But that's neither here nor there. That's how it all started.
So, you and.
Oh, then you unlock this
Oh,
house.
sorry.
Okay. So this house here is, I bought the house. I bought the house, and Si lived in the house. Okay. And he didn't have to pay anything for the house. Okay.
Well, that's when he decided that he wanted
He
us
wanted me to
the
have this house.
not his son.
Not his kids.
Right.
Because his kids never came to visit him. His kids would fly right over him and go down to
St. Thomas.
back and forth, and I would take him, he'd come up to the lake every summer, and I'd pay his way up to the lake and everything, and so forth and so on. There was bad blood between he and his kids.
So basically, you paid, he was living in the house, and you were buying it from him until the time that he died, and then he willed the rest of it to you. Is that?
No, the house was, I bought the house, but I paid him so much, I wanted to buy it outright. He wouldn't let me buy it outright. He wouldn't let me buy it outright.
Okay, so you were
But-
just buying it gradually.
And he would buy it, and I think it was just about bought, wasn't I paid for it?
You never used to pay him so much a month.
We used to pay him so much a month. But he set the deal on the house. I'll buy it outright, you have the whole house. This is what you want. I mean, your kids want it, fine, if that's something else. He says, my kids, no way. My kids that come down, they never come here, they don't, so. I couldn't help for that, so that's it. Now, that's how we acquired the house.
Oh, it's pretty nice. You got all those oranges and grapefruit
Yeah,
out
right,
there.
nice house.
Perfect
but the-
place to vacation and live in the winter time.
Right, no problem.
Oh my God. Well, you've seen your children graduate from colleges, and now you're starting to come around to going
Senior
around again.
graduate.
We're starting to see some of the grandchildren graduate from colleges, so you're seeing
That
the
just proves
generations grow.
one thing. That just proves one thing. We're getting old.
Yeah, it's a sad part.
And I mean, we're getting old.
So are they?
Well, they're getting older, Mom. They're not old. Well, that's it. Now,
What are some of the fondest memories you have as a couple?
there's a couple of fondest memories. Well, all I know is the best thing I ever did in my life was marry her.
That's fine. It's a memory, eh?
No, does that answer your question?
That's your whole lifetime then, right?
That's right. That's my fondest, as far as,
Oh, that's
my
the best
married life
movie.
is
That's the
concerned.
best movie ever made, right?
that's right.
Yeah, when our kids grow
I
up and
didn't
be
have
good
the
kids.
voluptuous girls that I could have, I took her,
You're much better off for it.
by all means. By all means. Now ask her a question.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mom was about to, you say you were talking about watching the kids grow up.
Yeah, showing their goings on in life and being good kids and turning out to be proud. They were proud of them all.
Which of the kids do you think are most like you, and which ones do you think are most like Dad? And do you think they're all pretty much individualized and gone off their own directions?
Well, I think Debbie's like her dad. She's gutsy and not afraid of anything. I think Gary's like me. I don't know what to say about him. He's,
Sentimental?
yeah, more backward.
I don't think he's backward in mine. Forward too.
Yeah, but he's.
He's
more
got a break,
backward.
he's got a bad break in life is what he got, and
That's what, well,
so that's the name of the thing.
Who do you think Ron most resembles?
resembles and looks.
Yeah, and actions and personality.
Blaha family.
Yeah, he looked like, he looked,
More like your
favored
father.
my side of the family, the Blaha side of the family.
Do you think he's most like your dad?
I don't know.
I wouldn't
I
say.
think everybody's individual.
Yeah, they're individuals, but as far as, making grandpa, I think he favors that side of the family. But as far as personalities, he doesn't have the same traits and personalities that grandpa had.
No, he doesn't.
No, grandpa was reticent, wasn't forceful about
What's the
it.
word we need?
Huh? Huh?
What's the word I always have for it?
Grandma was the ruler.
Reserved,
Huh?
shy.
Grandma ruled the roost. Just like it is now.
Inferior
Evelyn-
complex he had.
Everyone rules the roost,
And then
just like their mother. And I'm like grandpa, that's the same.
big purple heart.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Yeah, get
And
you.
if you believe that, we have a bridge, right? For sale, real cheap. Oh,
Poor grandpa,
Okay,
whatever him.
we haven't talked much about your mom and dad. We talked about Emily Dvorak, and we talked about
Yeah.
Frank Nosek, but we haven't talked much about Bubby. Bubby's real name was what?
Agnes.
Agnes Plufka.
Agnes Polifka.
And her maiden name was Mann, M-A-N-N. Farm girl, lived on a farm with her folks.
From Coloma.
She was born in Cologne, Wisconsin, yes.
Yeah, that's right. Her name was Agnes. I don't know where that's not a Czech
I
name.
don't know.
How the heck did she have,
Must have been.
I forgot what her name
Well, maybe
was.
it
She was a Polivka.
I mean, I would say it was her
You're talking
mother's,
about
her
your
mother's
mother's
name
name.
was
Mhm.
Mann, that's right. Mistake.
So she was Agnes Polifka.
I didn't know her.
Bohomo.
Yeah, Bohem,
Bohem.
that's they used to call him Bob. It's a Bohemian
Bohemil.
name.
Where did he grow up? Your dad, where did he grow
In
up?
Chicago.
Chicago.
Yeah, he was a grocery store. He had a grocery store
Mhm.
and had horses. He would shine up the brass on the horses. And I think, how did he meet my mother? Do you remember?
I haven't got the slightest idea. It's your mother. I couldn't remember that if I tried.
Going to the farm, remember him driving to the farms about how somebody introduced him or said they had a girl that they'd like him to meet. But I don't remember, because when they got married on the reception, like on the farm, there's a picture somewhere in the house
Yeah.
where all these people were, out like in the field.
Congregated.
Yeah. But it
That's
was-
where the Polifka
Somebody introduced him.
family had the big dairy and they ended up being millionaires and grandma ended up with nothing. They had a mortgage on the house, and when I got married to her, the mortgage was still on the house, and they'd been paying on it for 20 years
Mhm.
or longer.
Now, was Bubby the oldest of
Yeah.
children
Yes.
in that family? And were there a lot of kids? Did she have-
And there were
she had a
6
lot of-
brothers and 1 sister. Right?
Right.
And the sister
There's 8.
lived with you?
No, 6 brothers and 2 sisters.
No, Mary and she, the 2 girls.
Well, that's the 2 sisters.
Well,
I think.
she wasn't a sister, it was her sister.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the 2 of them were
2
girls.
6
Two girls.
boys and 2 girls. 8
The
in
boys and
family.
the sisters, what I was thinking you were saying. The boys and 2 sisters.
My aunt never married until late in life, and she moved to Florida. She lived in Hollywood, Florida. Not very close.
Family-wise, there was no close
Big
ties.
family. The whole
Okay.
Clifka side wasn't very
No,
closely
never
knitted.
was. Well, no, they made a lot of money out of it, the Jerry, and your ma got
Well, they
nothing.
weren't- they were just
And,
that time.
And what about your dad, the Blaha side of the family, what is?
My dad was one of, he had 4 brothers, there's 5 boys and 1
Oh.
girl, and Albie was a sister. So it was what, Emo,
yeah,
Otto, Ed, Bill, Fabia, 5 boys and 1 girl. Albino,
And they all grew up in Chicago?
yeah.
yeah, okay.
They're all,
Okay.
there's nobody left on the inside.
Now, what else do you want to know? Or is it just
Oh,
about?
we'll probably think of something tonight, I don't know.
Okay, you think of something tonight, and then we'll go back.
But I think we've covered a lot of
Yes.
territory, a lot of
I
years.
think-
and-
I think we did too. There's a lot of history that's being recorded, which has never been done
No, I
before.
don't.
And I think that that's good. And I think it spells out a lot of things.
Well, I know, you know,
Particularly how lucky
we're going
you were.
to enjoy looking at the tapes now, but I know in future years, you know, the grandchildren, you know, you always like to know
What's
more
going
and more
on?
about your genealogy, and it's harder and harder to get that sort of thing if you don't make some kind of a record.
Yeah. It's a shame you don't remember more things.
And now when you got it on videotape, I mean, it's more than just writing it down and
That's right.
looking in a book and saying, well, they were born
can
at a
see
certain
it.
time, you can see, you know,
Mhm.
you can kind of tell what they were like. and-
Thanks to you.
We had
Just
my
thanks to
father's
you
side.
for opening
Yeah,
yourself up.
you had to get the bull by the horns.
My father's side, there was 4 girls and 2 boys.
Oh, yeah. Your dad had a brother?
Oh, yeah. Galati died and fell off a
Oh,
hayride
that's right,
up
okay.
in Iowa, broke his neck.
Yeah,
Right.
was that the brother then, whose daughter, the cousin that we met this summer?
No,
But she
that,
was at
she's
the
thinking
lake.
of Maddie. Maddie
Oh,
Novak.
Manny Novak. No, that is not Manny Novak.
That's like a second cousin.
That's a second
or a
cousin.
third cousin.
Oh, okay,
To my dad.
your dads were cousins.
No,
Your dad and Maddie's dad were cousins?
yeah, something like that. They were-
As your mother's,
Yeah,
and your mother's side?
no, on
Your mother is,
my father's
I was
side.
trying to think how they was, a Novak.
Well, Novaks were on my father's side.
Well, all right,
Yeah.
your brother's sister was her mother, right?
My brother's sister.
No, wait, your
No,
father's,
no. That couldn't be. What would it be?
your,
Your father's sister was your aunt. And your Maddie.
No,
No?
no. This was removed from that second cousin, like the second cousin. or something.
Maddie told us till we didn't remember.
We didn't remember.
Get that on paper.
No,
Hard to
that's-
keep track of all these
Yeah,
things.
I can't remember.
Well, okay. Who's just in charge?
Now, because we've got to make this supper, but if we think of
Yeah,
any
it's
more
6:15.
questions, we'll just turn it on again.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you, Judy. That's very nice.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'm sure glad you did
Who did you whip today?
Book Mike and Andrew.
Ready to go. Okay, so here we are. We finally got some sun back here in Florida.
Thank goodness.
4 days later, so we're March 10th, and down in Clearwater. We decided we didn't go with Mom's interview the other day. And one thing that we never touched on at all was your very best friend, Mrs. B.
Ah, yeah.
Maybe can you tell me, how did you meet Mrs. B?
Well, when Debbie was a little girl and her boys were youngsters, they got together and they used to play together. She'd go to their house and knock on their door and ask if she could play. We're twins. And it was from then on that we call and ask if Debbie could stay for dinner. And of course I said yes. So we got to talking to one another. That's how we through the kids to Ron. Through Debbie, not the boys. The boys were older.
So the twins are about the same age as
Yeah,
you.
they're just, I think they're a year or two younger.
carpool back and
Oh,
forth to
yeah,
school.
yeah, all the time.
So then, with Georgianne, you did a lot of activities together?
Yes, well, not at the beginning. She didn't get into the holy rollers, the altar and rosary, rosary till later on and got very involved in it. But, well, we weren't too friendly at the time, just through, kids playing with her. It was in later years that we got to the altar and rosary, and she got very involved.
So now, I know you as president of the Altar and Rosary Society. Was she a president once and then you became a president?
No, I was way before her.
Oh, way before.
And she took 2 terms there, maybe 3 or 4 years apart.
Here's some,
Yeah.
some oranges.
Oh, wonderful.
We're in the movie now.
I am the oranges.
Yeah, we're in the middle of an interview here.
Ouch!
How are you? Nice to see you.
You and your,
We're running.
We got-
Thank you very much.
We got oranges.
you and your.
Taking them off the tree, see?
Oh, okay.
One. Just like that.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
I hope you didn't bruise that one.
No,
We'll
that
eat
is-
that one right away.
There you
There's
go.
still a lot on there?
Huh?
There's still a lot
Oh,
on
there's still, I'm picking them off there. Got some of those on, I want to save some of those, but we'll have them for orange juice, and then the kids are going to be here
Yeah.
next week, and then we got to give them some. We'll clean that tree pretty good.
We'll have to start in on the neighbor's trees. We'll have to start in on the neighbor's trees.
Can't get them.
Oranges, they like it. They don't like the grapes. With
They don't like
oranges.
the grape because we can't get the oranges. I'll see them orange, but I did get that.
No, we
Did
didn't
they
get
get
one.
oranges?
Those are good ones too.
So you were the president of your Altar and Rosary Society for
Yeah, I was in
1
the
year?
60s, yes. I was way back in the 60s, and she was later on. And 2-year term, she was off for, I think, 4 years, and then they couldn't find anybody, and she took it over another time.
It was shortly after Joe died, and
Yeah,
wasn't
right.
it? And she felt like she could
Right. Keep busy.
keep busy and have something to keep her mind occupied.
She did a real good job.
What are some of the activities that you did when you were the president of your Altar and Rosary?
And we had dinner dances,
Here's one that dropped off the tree and broke 2 ways, Mark. Look at it.
festivals.
I was pulling it down. And you see how it broke?
Oh, yeah.
So
If you interrupt our interview one more time, I'm going to throw that grapefruit at you.
Okay.
We had fall festivals, we have bakery sales, the Altar Rosary in itself would have retreats. It's dances for
When you
parish.
say you have a bake sale, you really have a bake sale, don't you?
Well, we have it in conjunction with, we have a few games for the kids and Santa Claus. And we serve coffee and cake to the people that come in. We have a religious good article place. So it's a parish affair. We have baker lists that we call, and the whole parish is contacted. So we have a pretty good turnout.
I can just remember from back in those years, it's usually one of the first Sundays in December that you have this, and it was
Right.
a really big affair. Everybody was baking, and it's just really fantastic.
It has fallen off some at least to much more like everything else. Pretty good turnout.
Well, what about your meetings? Were you shaking at your knees the first time you had to conduct a meeting?
Oh, sure. Sure. But I got over that. The Lord was on my shoulder. He took care of it. Because I'm not that type to be before the public, but I did all right.
When would you usually have your meetings? And they are
Well, we had alternated that time. We used to have 1 month in the afternoon, 1 month in the evening. So those that could make the evenings were able to come in. And then we changed it. Now we have it at night all the time.
And who are some of the people that were on your board? Any people that we would
You know, I nobody that you would. This is no, she wasn't. Nobody would know.
but a good working crew?
Oh, yeah.
Easy to get
Oh,
along with?
yeah. Everybody was hard workers and willing to do. Yep.
found chairman for all the special events, and so everything,
Not too bad. Nothing that stands out in my mind.
terrible telephone calls.
No.
You had the one dance that you had terrible snowstorms.
Yeah, that was bad. We had in conjunction with the Holy Name, I think, at that time. It was in April. It turned out to be very big, just for that one night.
And I know that you also were a den mother.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about your Cub Scout days.
Oh, that was something I'm not very handy at anything else, but I sort of did well with making projects for the boys. And I had 8 boys, and then 8 den boys. We'd have den meeting every month, and we'd have displays, and we always had a real nice displays with things that they had made. Clever, nice. Each den had whatever. Like today, I think they're assigned to what they're supposed to do. So everybody did what they wanted. Came up with a real nice, cute idea.
Did you have another mother that helped you with?
And in the beginning, I didn't, not when I was actually in, but when later on, Mrs. Moriarty took over the den, and she needed a helper, and I helped her. We used to have it in our basement. And Roy Allen was our den chief, and we kept the boys in line. And we had kids in there that we'd work with Elmer's glue. They'd use a whole bottle of Elmer's glue.
We're gonna show you
You're
that.
back again.
I'm back again.
Oh, Roy, not now, honey. She's trying.
Just look at this. I'm gonna give you a nice orange. Take all the stuff off it like this.
It's dripping and the wind's blowing it.
The wind's blowing it right at us.
Okay, don't put it halfway enough. Look at this.
But you're not in the camera, they can't see it. Draw your
Look at
hand.
that. See what it makes of that?
Later, later. It's too juicy.
Want any more? Okay, they don't want it, so I'm gonna eat it.
Okay, Roy. It's enough acting.
That's okay. We'll just splice him right out.
Yes.
Now, were you den mother for
Yes, I think I had them all.
a lot of
Long
years of
time.
den mothering?
Yeah.
And what, they'd come to your house after school? These were
Yeah.
like all the boys from St. Leonard?
And we'd have the PAC meetings once a month at the auditorium. We'd have to have displays. Some things we'd done during
A lot of cute little crafts. And then what about when Debbie came along? Then did you have
She went into brownies, but I was, what do they call them?
brownie later?
Brownie, I guess that's what I was. But that's as far as she went. She didn't go any further in Girl Scouting. But I took that one over too.
Well, the brownie troops are much bigger than the Cub Scout dens. Aren't they?
Yeah,
Did you have a helper for that?
yes I did. Mrs. Drennan was my helper. And we had projects with that too, but it was all different. I can't even remember. No PAC meetings or anything. It was different.
What about discipline? Always seems to be a problem with little Cub Scouts because they're so busy and they're so active and that sort of thing. Did you have a magic way with?
Back in those days, I would say our boys were always good too, and I think, no, I never had any problems with them.
Rowdy, or that was
No.
okay if you got a little rowdy? They really liked the projects that you
Yeah, they
picked
were
up.
always anxious, what are we going to do next? And kept them busy, and I guess that's the secret, is to keep them occupied.
Well, having been a den mother myself, I can
Relate to
appreciate.
that.
I can appreciate how it's not always the easiest job. To get one rambunctious youngster.
That was fun. I enjoyed it. It was nice years of my life working with kids like that. Best part, everybody appreciated, even the parents would appreciate